What is up, everybody? It is Ted here with Bodies and Wicks, and I hope you all are enjoying your Wednesday morning. I think it's Wednesday. I don't even know. Sorry about that, guys. If anybody has been following along and paying attention to my channel, that I have kind of been absent. I tried to pull out some things yesterday and were fairly successful, and we won't necessarily get into those just yet, but what we will get into is the charts, and well, first I guess I could go over to you know, the basics of everything from yesterday. So I'll go ahead and switch over to this. So as you can see over here, the three trades I called yesterday were an ETH, Ethereum long but scalp also at the same time, and there are some things I drawn out through this. Click on it here really quick, kind of tell you what happened. We'll pull up anyway. So this thing had even though it backed up, right, or what I saw, and again, I called this during the YouTube yesterday. This is why you seeing it's way up here and not way down here at the YouTube. Whenever I was doing this yesterday, I called it right here, and where this red line meets, and placed it later, and I said take profit up at this red line. And then also as it went on, I said take profit again. Let me see here. Take profit again at 1847 in case it hits a stop loss. And you should have enough to bank, at least enough to break even on the plus side. So we did. We basically, this right here was double the position. I took out basically, I had 2/5, or 2/5 of the entire position, and then I banked out again a little bit later, and that was probably somewhere around in this area, around 1850. This is where I banked out again, and then I just kind of let it go, and of course it went and took my stop out. So there was a little bit of profit made, but not a whole lot. But you know, I kind of shouldn't have you know, I probably could have done a little bit more homework and seen that was possibly coming. I did look below that, and I did see that it was possibly coming. So with SPX, what I called yesterday, and amped it in right through here. Whenever I placed it on here, I said, you probably guys could probably got a better way better entry than me, and I marked out all the different take profits. You know, one was here, I think one was here, one was here, and I think we have hit a lot of the take profits, if not maybe some. Oh, maybe not, maybe I'm aiming way too high. So but we did hit take TP1, and recently we have hit TP2. So hopefully you're holding that overnight, and if you have, you know, put yourself in the back, move your stop loss to 0. We'll possibly be looking for another entry into this. And as far as NASDAQ did not look like it was going to go our way at first, but I had faith in it. And the reason I had faith in it was because of a lot of the movement that was happening. Even though this did skyrocket up here, you basically had this ground to work with, and this ground to work with, and this came into this ground and pushed up, and that was the catalyst, and it came back to this area, and then it didn't get below that. Even though it looked like it was going to, it certainly did if we hit play. What happened was that it came back down to this area and came back up, and what I thought was this breaker here was going to try to keep us above it, and it had once it got below it, it struggled to get above it. But once this part around, it was late last night actually, around 8:45, pushed up above the area I was talking about. It didn't necessarily have to come down and hit it, which I thought was interesting. But it, you know, these two areas that I thought could possibly either enter and possibly pull back or whatnot, and then keep doing it. Instead, it just went straight through, all the way through to the new high. So, congrats to all those who stuck with it and eventually made a new high out of NASDAQ, which was probably the biggest one. And so anybody who made any good profits on NASDAQ, maybe lost a little bit on Ethereum, but also made some more on SPX. Congrats to all of you to held those positions that I was currently putting out there. So gonna be doing the same thing since it's close to opening bell time. We're getting very, very close, and I don't want to look at Ethereum or Bitcoin just yet. I do want to continue looking at SPX as it is still in our take profit zone. If we were to add another position, what I would be looking for, and this is, you know, getting way down in there, diving way down into this. And this is if it would have a major pullback, which, it, you know, at the beginning of the bell, who knows what's going to happen. My thing is to, especially now that we're at today, I probably need to delete that and not that. Again, didn't mean to delete that. I thought I clicked the yellow line. Let me make sure I click the yellow line here. Okay. What I want to do is take everything, make it to break even, secure everything that we have done so far, and if anything, what we should probably do is actually raise, and it's not working in our direction for some reason. Well, I guess you could put, yeah, either way it's a stop loss. Put your stop loss, I would say, probably right around there. Maybe if not, just a little bit lower, and I need to get this off of, there we go. I would probably put it around 38.99, 38.98, somewhere around there. That way you're protecting a little bit more of your profits. And if we were to, again, I want to see where this goes to, and I'm looking at it from the 15-minute. I want to look at it from the 1 hour. It just seems like it's going toward liquidity, right? And where is liquidity? Liquidity is above equal highs. Meaning that once you get toward equal highs, people want to short it because they think it's going to do the same thing. They think once we get up here, oh, it's going to short. And I just got rid of, or at least moved my TP2, and which I did. So now that we beat TP1 and we beat TP2, right? We hopefully locked in 60 to 80% of your profits. What I expect to happen, it's going to take me a minute to try to figure this out. This, everything seems to be moving quite along as far as price action is concerned, moving back and forth, making sure no price has been left behind, as I like to call it. Making sure there's no gaps. No gaps in between candle to candle. And that's between the 1 hour and a 1 hour. If we look at the 15-minute, I'm sure there might be a little bit, but maybe not much. I mean, if the 1 hour is doing it, I don't see why the 15 hour would be doing it. The 15 hour, hello, 15 minute would be doing it. And it is definitely not. As you can see, there was a huge drop here, pulls back up and hits the bearish order block and then drops automatically after that. Even here, there could be a little bit, if anything, this may be a good sign. That could be a draw toward the fair value gap in between here and I don't know, I'm gonna get close enough. Oh, no, yeah, it's perfect. Then, well, the thing is that once you get down here, can't really do that. Oh, can I? I'm just gonna have to leave that over there for a second. Excuse me for my head being locked into the way, just because I like to lean up front and look at you guys. Like, I don't really like to look at you guys like that, but I like to look at my screen a little bit better and see if okay, now that I've got pillars here, I guess you could say, want to watch it to see what happens whenever it gets into this area, to see if it becomes either disruptful. If it disrupts anything. It looks like it's already hit the bottom of it, maybe, or getting close to hitting the bottom of it. Maybe that's why it's rejected it a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily hit the bottom. Okay. Closer. No, it does not touch. Okay. So this is about the only gap that I did see, and even then it really wasn't even that much of a gap. You had this just big long red candle here. But then it pulls back up into it and then pushes down. So what I want to look for, and what I hope that happens, is that were to push down a little bit more, I still do believe it's still going to continue going up. Didn't mean to move that. That should not be moved. Go. This in pocket. Okay. What could happen is that, and it looks like it may have already manifested, and if not, who cares? Actually, I do care, but there, prices are the same. Looks like it's kind of catapulted. And again, it is Thursday, so Thursday could end eventually, especially if it's you know, I guess Monday started off a little rough. Tuesday got a little bit better. So I know I tweeted yesterday or someday that you know, Tuesdays can make the highs, but then again, I wasn't even thinking about how Wednesday already made a really pretty bad low. The Monday was probably the low, and Tuesday was probably just improving on itself. And so now Thursday we could possibly see the high. So would this be the high right here? I am not for sure. I don't know if we'll actually get to this target before the end of the week, but I'm hoping that we do. I'm hoping that today would be a great day for it to get into sync again. There are some things I do pay attention to in the economic calendar, which we probably should pull up right now and see what's going on. I don't think there was a whole lot going on in the economic calendar today. Not with it. Well, $10. Let's see here. 10 o'clock. Builds job openings. 10:30 natural gas storage. Remember that has an impact on CAD as well. 1 o'clock 30-year bond auction. That should be interesting. 1:30 government council member speaks from Canada, and then later on we have the Japan news. That being said, let's head on back to SPX. So not a whole lot as far as economic news is concerned. Nothing like last week where we had non-farm payroll. If anything, what had happened was that whenever this, I'm on the 15-minute here. Whenever this candle here came about around 8:45. Dipped down into that fair value gap, could possibly gave an institutional order flow, and gave it a good push, and we shall see if that is going to continue. See, and I have all these markers marked out because these are various fair value gaps, so it looks like it hit the bottom of this fair value gap, possibly pushed down into this fair value gap, and then that's what it does. It feels like it bounces in between order blocks and fair value gaps, which can be reclaimed, by the way, so it's not like it's an end-all be-all. So what I want to see, especially in SPX, it looks like it's starting to meander down, right? Even though we did get above, and now it's starting to kind of cool off a little bit. I would like to see it get actually into this area here. Even though it looked like it would be bad to get into this area here, I think it would be good. And reason being is because this is a huge, even though we didn't have a whole lot of, mumbo jumbo that was happening yesterday, but that actually saved us because eventually we pulled out of it because our stop loss was way down here. This right here pulled us out of it and got us up and out to take profit too, which I have most of my profits secured, which I want to add more, but I don't want to get too greedy, so I got to be careful about where I'm going to add that take profit. So I want to see it hit at least in here, which the number is 3911.3. It could differ depending on what kind of broker you have, so be sure what you're looking at comparing it to mine on a 15-minute chart is comparable. Could be a couple dollars more, could be a couple dollars left. I know on mine it's a couple dollars less, I want to say. So I do have to be careful about, whenever I see this number on here, that I have to double check and make sure that the numbers are indeed what what they say they are, or at least try to find them in comparison to what they need to be. So I want to put the number of 31,319 in here. Long position. I just coordinates. I don't know why I just clicked off of that because I needed that again. Text. All right, so somewhere in between here is where I want to see price dip down into. Right, I kind of want to see, since it has been falling off, right? It's not been moving up like it has been, and then all of a sudden everybody gets freaked out, and then it gets to a point and then just drops off draw automatically. I kind of want to see it pull down just a little bit so everybody starts selling, and then all of a sudden it hits this range and then buys, and then everybody's left holding their pants down, thinking that it was going to be continuously going down all day. Now with indices, it has a different kind of norm, I guess you could say, as to where the indice itself has like a morning and an afternoon type of, I guess you could say, actions. You know, there's morning actions and there's evening actions, and then you know, you kind of see those unfold and unplay as the day goes on. So that being said, I think I'm done with NAS for now until the bell rings here in just a little bit. But now I want to get to NASDAQ. So NASDAQ, as you can see, we have definitely been the breadwinner here, and even was quite a bit from, you know, 12,787 to 12,987, a good 100 pips or so. Yeah, I can't complain on that one for sure, and I haven't left it at the original stop loss. I didn't move it. I thought maybe it could get down to here into a buy zone, which is where there's huge, you know, huge buying, and then it comes down, there's big buying, and then it kind of comes down and flattens out. And so what I was afraid of, especially after it did this, it came down to huge buying, and then it kind of fell down, and it did this, and I was kind of worried it would kind of fall down into this zone. And if it did, what I was going to do was buy again and then continue on, hopefully make up for my losses and more. But it never did that. It continued on, and we continued to flourish. So that being said, what I want to do is get rid of that off of my screen, considering we do know that we hit the buy zone, or we did end up making all that. But I don't want to take this, right? And I don't want to forget about it. I have a feeling this could play an important factor into what is to come. Interview who are traders on MT4, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You play all sides of the game. You play, you know, you play the SPX, you play the Euro USD, you play, you know, Bitcoin, you play Ethereum, you know, you play Tron, you play, you know, you play every single little bit that you can think you can get your hands into. The problem with that is overextending yourself, and I always try to keep it down to a minimum, unless I see something that I really do like, and then I will try to keep it from that. So that being said, what I don't like here, okay, so I have a low, high, lesser high, mitigation. Let's see what we have here. Right. Low, high, Okay, here we go. We have breaker. And what I mean by breaker is that you have a low, a high, and then a lower high. This is what this is. So you're seeing all this low come up, you get a high, then you get a drop down, which is a lower high, and then you get a push back up. So now, whatever price falls back down into this breaker, what I would like to see for it to do is get to the bottom of the breaker before buying, right? And I hope, and what I mean by that is that there is, I'm on a 15-minute chart, right? The time at this breaker is 2:30 a.m. around 2:30, 2:45 a.m. Price of this breaker is anywhere between 12,911 and 12,932. Price looks like it is getting into the breaker. All right. So what we'll do, I'm going to pull up the old. Okay, it is getting into the breaker. I want to see if it pushes down into it further. I think it will. I think if anything, it'll get to here. What do I mean by here? And maybe not. Okay, maybe I should have bought as soon as we got right to that breaker. Maybe I lost my opportunity. Speaking of that, let's go back to SPX really quick. Again, I'm still holding this from yesterday, so I'm still okay. Okay, it's still pushing down, which is what it tends to do. Yo, how is the connection today? I'm not for sure, you tell me. Which is funny because sometimes I'll be doing perfectly fine. Sometimes there isn't absolutely nothing wrong with my streaming whatsoever, and then today it's telling me YouTube is not receiving enough of blah 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 blah. So what I'm gonna do is even airplane mode doesn't even work, so I'm just gonna turn my Wi-Fi off too. See if that even helps. I have great internet connection. It's not like I'm doing anything, you know, controversial compared to anybody else. I've got all my settings correct. It's not like just some days it works and then some days it doesn't. I think it has to do with the amount of people online at the same exact time. I have no idea. As 12/9/11, 12/9/32. There. And what we're seeing is this dangerous push down, right? And this is what is making people think sell, 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 sell. And what you have to look at is over here to the left, again, a breaker, right? You have a breaker. You have a high, right? Then you have, where you have a low, then you have a high, and then you have a lower high, I guess. Sorry, higher low. That's the word I'm looking for, higher low. And this is what kind of saved us again from yesterday. Just that low, or I should say it was this one, the low, the high, to the lower low, or to the higher low. And so this area right here kind of constituted as an area of, hey, even though it did break below it, it eventually got back above it. And I think that's what is going to be happening today. Geez, no, it's just gonna take off. Well, no, it's not gonna take off. What's gonna happen is it's gonna make people think it's gonna take off, and then it's gonna pull down. It's gonna make people think off, it's gonna pull down, and it's gonna make people think off, it's gonna pull down. This is what I have a feeling is what's gonna happen with NASDAQ. Unless it breaks market structure. If it breaks market structure, then I gotta rethink the whole thing. But then again, it already did get into our box before I thought it could go. And I should have automatically entered in right there. So hopefully if anybody that was watching that did see this box and did see the enter it box, hopefully you entered in right there. That's what that box was meant to be. That box was meant to be an entry box, and I was hoping that it was going to get down even further. But unbeknownst to me, not really unbeknownst to me, but just looking at it as a different viewpoint, we did have a kind of a bullish order block. And so it didn't exactly get to that bullish order block, but it got close enough to where it was going to take off. It looks like I missed the NAS. So I'm going to take my eyes off the NAS for a second. Let's go over to SPX, which I'm still in. So I'm just looking for a better entry, which probably happened again at the same exact time. 8:45 looks like it came down into area that I wanted it to, and then of course it is taking off. So yeah, been great. All right, so since we got both of those going on, let's head on over to Ethereum and see what's going on with Ethereum. that Raven coin. I got another one going there. Anyway, let's see here. Now, if I'm looking at this from a perspective, let me get rid of this. This is where I thought it was going to go, and it did not go there. We still have some buy side liquidity. We have, and it looks like it just took out some buy side liquidity. Okay. What I would expect it to do is way too far down here for it to reach, I don't think, but there's a possibility. Now that it has broken market structure, first thing I look at is a order block. Really, there really isn't much of an order block down through here except for right here. That. Order block here. Order block. So that's if it ever is to get down to that area. But what I would be more inclined to think what it would be to get to here. I know yesterday I was wrong in my thinking that it wouldn't get back down to, because I think I had, you know, started my, well, of course this happened at, you know, late last night, so I wasn't able to get into the trade, but I got into the trade somewhere around in here. Then I took most of my profits out in here, and then took another profit out in here, and then let the rest go to stop loss. So there was a little bit of gain. It wasn't a whole lot. It wasn't enough for satisfaction, at least, but it wasn't a win-win. And as you can see, it is already starting to pull back. The only thing is that we do have a sell side liquidity pool up here, which that's what it could be ultimately aiming for. Now that I went down to connect the dots down here halfway, I am going to go ahead and it's still down here. I don't see it pushing down much harder. And it's actually looking like it's going to push up, so I'm going to go ahead and buy. And publish that. may not be the best idea. Just gonna let you know, this may not be the best idea. Here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a box, long position. Of course, it would do that. And the only thing it did with that was push it down just a little bit further and enclose any kind of gap that was there. So now the ultimate goal again is to get above this sell side liquidity, or this, yeah, the buy side liquidity. Come down, hit this order block, and be below this order block. So I'm looking at this again from 15-minute time frames. Again, this is also a breaker, so I am going to outline this as a breaker. Just in case it does get all the way down here, it should automatically pop back up. But I'm thinking, since it did enclose this gap, even though there is some gapish areas through here, those gaps were meant to break those highs. So I don't think I don't think it would come back down, because this propelment was to break these highs right here. So that was the break in market structure. You think of break a market structure, right? And it broke market structure again by breaking these highs. Of course, there's going to be a pullback, but how far the pullback is going to be is the question. And man, you guys really can't see anything, can you? Why is my YouTube streaming status so poor? There's nothing wrong with it. Like, everything is fine. My computer's running fine. You know what it is? I think I know what it is. 1 second. Give me 1 second. And I think I can fix this. Of course, the one thing I want to fix it on, it leaves it a streaming circle. Here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna force quit some things. Ah, there it is. There's the culprit. Now, hopefully, this will be doing a lot better. If there's anything else in here, I can. Here, they're gonna monitor. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. I don't think I'm playing any TV. I don't think I have any music going. Except for the background music, of course. Okay. A lot of programs should be shut down. That could possibly cause my streaming to be slower. I don't know. I'm doing everything by the book here. And why sometimes it streams perfectly and why sometimes it streams like it's absolute crap, I have no idea. I don't touch anything whenever it comes to streaming, and maybe I should. I usually leave everything at 30 FPS, 30 frames per second. That way it's not overloaded. I usually leave everything at 2,500 kilobytes per second, which it suggests 6,000. So I'm trying to make it lower so that way it's I make it low latency. I do everything I can in my possible realm to try to help. I can tell I'm losing viewers over this because they're not. Yeah, I have no idea. Streaming and that's why latency. I don't know. Either way. Odika, is it choppy still? Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Sorry. Okay, so I did put I probably put a trade way too early on Ethereum, that's for sure. I'm gonna wait and see if it gets down to this breaker, and if it gets down to this breaker, I'm gonna unload on more. That way it'll average out a little bit better. Let's head on over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been quite a phenomenon lately. It still has, for some reason, it has this fair value gap that it seems to be minding. Not mining, but minding. It does not want to, and I thought I was eventually gonna blow past this at one point. And it's still not. It's still just wanting to get right into this fair value gap and then wants to turn around. And it's a small fair value gap too. It's not even like a 4 hour fair value gap. I want to say it could be a 4 hour fair value gap. I'm not for sure. Here, let me turn this into a 4 hour and let's see what kind of fair value gap we got going on. It is a 4 hour fair value gap. Okay, so we have a 4 hour fair value gap. It comes up to it, touches it multiple times. It comes back down. probably hits a 1 hour order block or something like that, turns around, comes back up, hits the 4 hour fair value gap, and then turns around back down. So I have a feeling this not only is the 4 hour fair value gap, it's also hitting the bearish order block as well, which would be right here. Cross, come on here. I'm gonna make this line red. It actually looks like it touched the very, very top of it. Did touch the very top of it, but order block here. Okay. So that being said, I am probably just gonna let Bitcoin ride again. If anything, I probably need to pay attention to it maybe earlier in the morning. See what happens to it down here. Maybe it was late last night that I had a run. And let's just hope my portfolio continues to act the way it should. Because over on the far left, what we're seeing is the fair value gap, which is the yellow. And then you have the order block, which is the red. So it's the order block, falls back down. Where does it fall back down to is the question. Even overwicks this, which brings me suspicion to this candle here around 54,817 down to 54,457. I have a feeling price might come back down to this area right here. This 54, probably pretty much 955, somewhere around there, before we're going to see some kind of return to bullishness. So that, if you're hearing me, that's what I would be looking for as far as bullishness is concerned. If it's going to start turning around and start floating backwards, not really backwards, but just having a little bit of a retracement, this would be the area I would be looking for. Either that, well, that and right. I have a lot of netting to catch up on since I've been not feeling the greatest. Luckily, you go to the doctor, you get a COVID test, and unfortunately, they don't have the ones that can turn around. And well, I'm glad they don't have the ones that can give it to you in 24 hours. I still feel like crud. And I probably shouldn't be smoking, but unfortunately, I am. And considering I do have about 5 minutes left before YouTube is going to kick me off, let's see if I can get a rundown really quick. Okay. Bitcoin, not going to touch. Not going to try to make any kind of trade unless comes down to 55,400, 55,488, 150, yeah, okay, 55,400 to 55,088. That's what I meant to say. 5488. There we go. To 5588 to 5488. So about $1,000 difference there. I think somewhere in between there we could see some positive results, because prior to that upwards motion here is, we could see it come all the way back down to 52.4. all right, and that's nightmarish scenario. Not really nightmarish scenario, that's just saying, hey, this is what Bitcoin does. This is a possibility. I don't think it will, but you know, keep that in the back of your mind. It could come down to 52.4. Ethereum, let's see here, got a couple minutes left. Ethereum is actually pushing back up. I'm surprised. Okay, so Ethereum hit a order block and is now starting to move back up. Hopefully, well, after it beat the side liquidity pool, it did pull back a little bit, and now I think it's going to be heading toward the next buy side liquidity pool, which is going to be 1833. After that, the next buy side liquidity pool is going to be somewhere around 1869, and the next liquidity pool is going to be 1881. So those are your areas to be looking for. As far as SPX is concerned, I haven't looked at these in a while. SPX completely taken off. I wouldn't say completely taken off. I have a feeling once it gets around 39.33, we could see a little bit of a dip and a pullback. And then with NASDAQ, all right, it has fallen into, well, it did fell into that box I was talking about, and then it decided to start buying again. So hopefully, Onika, you caught that and that you bought